We talking about whatever that's on your mind. Speak your mind, don't be shy. This is your time to shine.
I got something I've been thinking about lately.
Uh-oh.
It's amusing to me that we know what we know as far as stuff we know about the world or in out of the world. Like, it's kind of amazing, amusing, and like, wow, that's comical that we know this for some reason, that we know. I was listening to this science podcast, and this lady was talking about the latest telescope, one of the latest telescopes that they have in NASA now. And this telescope is supreme with the visuals. Like, this mud can see beyond the galaxy. Her words herself was,
wow,
the edge of the universe. And that's part of what I just said. That's amusing to me that we know that this is the edge of the universe. That's amusing to me, because how, the way that she explained, in a way, not only that she explained, but science explains it about the light that we get on Earth from space, how long that takes for that light to travel. So technically, if we want to go off, well, I can't say technically, but going off science, looking into space is the past. So here is present, but looking outside the Earth is the past, because that light hasn't
Come on
reached
now,
us
come on
yet.
with it now, come on with it.
That light hasn't reached us yet, which is why we have to go so far in order to see that light.
Okay,
Also,
so what you're saying, Donnie, is
go
hold
ahead.
on, Donnie. What you're saying is, I need to go into space to get my money back. I paid on these goddamn bills. I got you.
And that's part of the comicalness of it, because that's funny how we don't know about time travel yet, but yet we're looking in the past.
Oh my God. Oh my
That's
God.
why I said it's amusing to me that we know what we know. Like, we don't even, like, we have zero idea what an actual dinosaur looks like, but yet here we are that got skeletons of them, and yet we have zero idea. Like, if we look at some of our creatures that we have now, that we walk the earth with now, if we would strip them to their skeleton, we would have no idea that we've been looking at an owl this whole entire time.
I said the same shit. I said the same shit. Like, I matter of fact, Donnie, I made a post saying the same thing, Donnie. I said, I bet you in about another like million years, they're gonna see a damn iguana. I'm like, oh my God.
Look at this small human.
Oh my God. Back a million years ago, humans was crawling on their bellies. I'm like,
exactly. And that's how we get, and stuff like that is drip fed into our education system.
Yeah.
Like, we get taught retardedly.
Some stupid stuff. I ain't lying.
That's why I think in the 90 percentile of our knowledge that we know or know of only comes from literature.
Right. I agree.
And I'm including the media and anybody else who have taught to you and you learn from them, because they learn from literature as well. And so basically, when we do research, we're doing research on other people's research, who's probably done research on somebody else as well. Who probably did the experiment?
Who telling the truth?
Who probably did the experiment? So now I say all of that when I say it's amusing to me when we know what we know, supposedly, and then here this chick come talking about we can see the edge of the universe, even though the stuff that we're seeing is so far into the past, and it's going to continue to be so far into the past, because also according to science, the universe is ever expanding. So therefore, that edge you have just reached is no longer an edge in this moment now. You have to go further back because it's forever expanding. And yet, no one has ever seen any other life force on any other planet yet, or no one has ever seen another person floating across the space in a ship or not, But yet here we are, knowing this stuff. We have knowledge about this stuff.
What you too? Like, what? How do you identify the edge of a universe? I'm trying to think. Now you got me thinking. How do you identify like what's the? I mean, the edge of what you can see, and then another thing is like, who's making these goddamn telescopes? Because how the hell did this shit just happen to come up?
And where do the world end? Where is it at?
Now who making the telescope?
What was your question again? When do the world end, or where does it end?
Where does it end? That's what I.
Oh, where?
On the edge. On the edge.
I will assume since it's flat, when you fall off at,
You're just gonna fall. Exactly. You're gonna fall.
So hold on. So pause. So she seen the end of Earth, or did she see the end of
the universe?
Yeah.
The universe. See, here's another thing.
Hold on.
To me, again. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say this real quick because I'm making shit funny, but I'm being honest. When I
Mm-hmm.
watched Magic School Bus back in the day,
that was real magic.
Miss Frizzle said that the galaxy is everlasting.
That's what she said.
How do you see that? How do you see the edge of the everlasting universe?
Come on.
2 plus 2 don't equal 4 now. I'm trying to figure what's going on.
Okay.
That's the expanding part. Like, how do you notice the edge? Like, that's amusing that we know this.
Well,
knowledge.
is she still
That's
living?
amusing.
Is she still living since she know
Yeah,
what
this was current. This was current.
I was getting ready to say, did she fall off?
Excuse me. but you know what else is comical to me is that the way we have experiments in school or in science period, the way that we get taught about why something is something, is always like a science trick to it. Like, I love me some science, but it's always like a science trick to it versus you being taught the simplified way of something. Like, I use the example of that same as that telescope. One of the biggest theories in the world can be solved with just this telescope, which is if the Earth flat or round, which again, we don't even really know if space is an actual thing, but yet we're choosing to believe it because a book told us.
That's what they said.
And we don't, yeah, so again, that being said, the Earth is probably flat. Hey, I don't know. We're just choosing to believe that it's round due to how much stuff that is projected upon us on how retarded it is for it to be flat.
But is it not? Maybe I'm not a flat Earth thinker, but who the hell knows really?
Exactly.
Right.
But
exactly.
That's what I said. Instead of using these scientific ways on how to teach, you can use those same scientific ways to simplify something, like taking that same as that telescope that can, for some reason, see beyond the galaxy that we're in and look into other galaxies elsewhere. You can take that same telescope and just put it straight across the Earth, and we should be able to look at the rest of the continents, people walking around over in Africa and Asia and all that junk. We should be able to see that boat, that ship that supposedly disappeared due to the roundness of the Earth. We should be able to see that ship now if we put that same telescope straight and just look. All we got to do is just look. But they'll tell these elaborate scientific ways on how to teach you science versus sense. Think a little bit. Just think a little bit.
I mean, you ever hear somebody say that a person too smart that they actually dumb?
Dumb. I hate them smart dumb people.
Yeah.
And because I'm not gonna lie to you.
The government you talking about?
Like, no, you can't get no dumber than that. But I'm not gonna. This ain't my show to get canceled. But I'm with you though, Donnie. One thing, if you can, who idea was saying, okay, you know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna make a telescope that's gonna go not to the moon, but to another galaxy. And then my thing is, how do you know you're in another galaxy? Because it's space. It's never ending.
That part.
So it's dark. Then also, how can you see past that? Let's be real, because space is dark. You can't see. It's nothing but darkness. What are you looking for? So I see a shooting star, so I'm in another galaxy. That don't make sense.
How do
make it make sense, right?
Right.
How do we know it?
We don't know.
We don't. That's why our system of beliefs is a collection of other people's beliefs, and we're just choosing to believe it. We're just choosing to believe it because a person in a white coat said so. Like, I heard this commercial where this person, if this is real scientists or not, they have on the white coat playing the scientist, and they said this was doing
Playing the scientist.
this was during the Rona shutdown time, and heavily with the vaccine and all this stuff. Talking about, I believe in what she say. I believe in facts and science. I'm like, nigga, you's a freaking scientist. They're the same thing. You can't have facts without science. And here we are believing in these niggas because they trying to. If you listen to what people be saying, or in this case, this type of stuff, they'll be talking to you and saying there's a bunch of the same thing, but using different words to say the same thing.
That's it.
Like, science is facts. So how you gonna believe in science and the facts? Nigga, you believing in science then. Like,
do you think they try to dumb it down for us though?
Man, no. See, no, they don't try to dumb it down for us. They dumb it down for us. Like, they doing that to us purposely. Like I said, we get drip fed retardation through the education system.
Yeah, and they just telling us what they want us to know.
Period.
Exactly. And nobody else is like, when you and we teach, like my son, he had, I think he said he had this was in AP Gov, which is what, history back in our day, isn't it? So he had he had that, and they were talking about economics and stuff like that, and he was, man, what? I wish I knew what he was saying. What I could remember what he said, but anywho, I told him, like, when he was saying, I was like, yeah, man, that's it. That stuff can happen, but I feel like you gotta think about the world that you're living in, which is not what they're teaching us in school. Like, they teach us first of all, they teach us the basics. If you can count to 10, you can count to 100. If you can count to 100, you know math.
Right.
You're like, you know math. And everything else is just a whole bunch of nothing to act like something is being done. So I was like, dude, you got to think about what the world you're living in. Yes. Oh, that's what it is. It's something about economics where if you was to how to raise taxes for things to get done and all this, I'm like, dude, no. Raising taxes is never the option. That's some BS that they teach you.
I feel like a lot of this scientific, like, proven stuff is just a hypothesis. They're giving you what an estimated guess on what they think could happen in the future, or what they think possibly could happen. That's a scientific, and it's also say a scientific guess. You're guessing what it could happen. So people got to understand that part too, because we don't know. Like, a lot of times they remember when COVID happened, they anticipated the world by 20, but I think by now we should have lost half the population. So it's a scientific guess of what's going to happen. So that's what people got to realize too, that a lot of this right here is not an accurate, like, depiction of what's going on.
Yeah, that's part of what I told. That's part of what I told my son. Like, dude, this is the world you live in. You live in a world where you can't afford taxes raised. You can't afford taxes raised. They can, but they not the ones paying. So in the world that you live in, don't ever bring up making the taxes rise. Because yes, what you're saying can happen and will probably happen, but that's the textbook answer. You have to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Think about what's happening for real. What you're living in now, does that correlate with what they're teaching you? It's like, nah, man, you got to think outside the box. Yeah, you got the answer right, but that's not it.
But a lot of times they don't think of the cause and effect of what's going on with the actions. Like you said, a lot of times they don't see, okay, they see one side, like, yeah,